Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week and figures out whether you should spend your money in the cinema or stay at home. Big screen or big stream. That is what we ask every... I can't believe I got that right. Anyway, that's what we try to figure. That's what we try to figure out on this show.
Let's get ready to rumble!
My name is Tosin and I am the host. I am based up in a place called Bromsgrove in the middle of the United Kingdom near Birmingham. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sharon.
Hello.
And joining us from London is Holly Neslane.
Hi.
Yes, both of you probably just fresh out of screenings of Wuthering Heights. So,
Yeah.
so I feel like this is an episode of the podcast that we have been building up to for the last couple of weeks. We've been building up to this episode for the last couple of weeks. And Shaun, who is our fourth co-host, participant, whatever you call him, leg of a table, I don't know. Shaun is currently in Japan and was so bummed that he could not make this episode. Mainly because Wuthering Heights is here, and it is time to actually figure out whether which bits of the things that we've been saying beforehand are accurate, which bits are far off the mark, and if there's going to be any reconciliation between Emerald Fennell and the literary internet. But having said that, okay, I know I was going to ask, I usually start by asking you guys what you've seen in the cinema. I know that's going to be it. But Sharon, what else have you seen in the cinema besides Wuthering Heights?
That's it. I have seen Wuthering Heights.
You've just reserved all your energy.
My needs for this week.
What was that?
Fulfilled all of my cinema needs.
Okay. Oh my god! I can just imagine just so sitting there, just vibrating with energy, like waiting to release about this film. So, sure, Holly, how about you? What have you seen?
I too have been emotionally burnt out by Wuthering Heights only.
All right, cool. And I went to the cinema yesterday, and seeing as it is half term, and I'm beginning to realize more and more how half-term takes over everything as a parent. I'm beginning to realize more and more. So it's like, I got to see the Looney Tunes film that's in cinemas at the moment called The Day the Earth Blew Up, starring Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. That has been my cinema offering. As much as, I know, Sharon, I didn't know this was being released either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It is, and even the title of the film tells you this is a bit old school. The Day the Earth Blew Up. So, okay, that's what we have seen in cinemas. What have we seen at home? Sharon, let's go with you.
I have binge watched all of Small Profits on iPlayer. And I managed to get, I accepted the challenge to see, I haven't seen all of Madam.
Yes.
But I have seen the first episode, so I thought I need to see at least part of it,
yes,
just to prove that I can get through it without having to sort of reach for the smelling salts.
Yeah.
So I was able to, without having the vapors, watch the first episode of Madam.
Okay, and so having watched the first episode of Madam, I'm curious. This is purely curiosity. Do you think it's something that you would continue on with if I hadn't said anything?
I'm curious to see what happens next.
Okay, all right, cool.
Whether I go all 10 episodes, but they're only half an hour long, aren't they? So
they're only half an hour long, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I could probably get through those.
Oh, all right, cool. I will keep checking back each week and see how far through it you get. All right, Holly, how about you?
I too have seen Madam.
Ooh.
I have probably seen a number of other things, but I cannot off the top of my head remember what they are.
All right, cool. And all right. So I saw Madam because I was the one who sort of instigated this thing. I saw Madam. I have also seen How to Get to Heaven from Belfast. I have seen all 8 episodes of that. Now, Holly, I know you started watching it, and the fact that you haven't finished watching it kind of tells me something.
No, it just tells you that I went and wanted to watch all of Madam, so I would have it done before today.
Oh, all right, cool.
So
okay,
I haven't had a chance to go back to it yet.
So shall we keep How to Get to Heaven from Belfast for next week?
Let's.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll keep that for next week because I have stuff to say about that show. So much so that I had to make notes while I was watching it because I did not want to forget. I was like, "Ooh, I want to mention that. Oh, I want to mention that." So how far through it are you, Holly?
I think I'm 2 episodes in.
Okay, cool.
And I had one of my best friends over from Australia at the weekend, so
yeah,
I was busy having fun rather than viewing things, though she did come to Wuthering Heights with me, so a big thank you to Jess coming all the way from Australia via Finland for meetings in order to come and see Wuthering Heights. And she is now starting to listen to the podcast. So,
oh, nice. Well, hello. Jess. Hello, Jess. Drop us a note. Drop us a note and let us know that you actually heard this. Anywhere on YouTube, on Instagram. Those are the main places. Facebook, if you're still using that, we are there on Facebook. Just look for Netflix via Cinema. Right. Oh, you said she came via Finland. Was she the one who realized that your last name is Finnish?
No, that was my father who told us over lunch on Sunday. As Jess and I have been friends for 36, nearly 37 years.
Yep.
And in Zimbabwe. So she was in Finland for work and decided to stop in on the way back to Perth to see the cats, my parents and me.
Oh, nice. Good stuff. Right, cool. Now, with that, let us get on to talking about films. Talking about films, so we're going to kick off in cinema as the ways we usually do. And let us kick off with Wuthering Heights. I have disappeared off camera, but do not worry, I am still here. I will figure this out and come back on camera in a second. But yeah, let's kick off with Wuthering Heights. This is in quotation marks. We do not know, well, I don't know why. I have a very good idea why. But Sharon, take it away. Tell us about Wuthering Heights. And I think I'm going to have to give you and Holly probably about 15 minutes, 15 minutes to talk this through, and I'm just going to sit back in the background and try and get my camera back up. So, Wuthering Heights, Sharon, take it away.
Yeah, Wuthering Heights in speech marks, in quotation marks rather. Yes, it's because it's Emerald. What's her name?
Emerald Fennell.
Fennell, I knew it was some of that. It was because it's her vision of it, based on the impression she got when she first read it when she was a teenage girl. And I think basically that's all you need to know when you watch that film. It is a teenage girl's impression of a dark, psychological, deeply unromantic book. And that only a teenage girl would read it and go, my goodness, that's so romantic. Because as soon as you have a little bit of life experience, as soon as you can read subtlety and nuance, you know that it's not a romantic novel. And I will just draw a parallel to myself with this. I read Rebecca, Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, when I was a teenager, and I thought that was a deeply romantic a book. And then when you read it later, you think, it's not. So the first impressions are not always the ones that... And when I think Daphne du Maurier was horrified when people used to talk about Rebecca as romantic. And she was like, no, it's not. And I think had Emily Brontë been around now, or had she had that sort of voice at the time of when she was still alive, she would have said, no, you're missing the point. So I get the feeling this is very much that first impression that has stayed with her, and regardless of what else she's read or seen or whatever since then, that is the impression that has stuck. So that is what I think that's what I'm looking into the mind of the director, because otherwise I would find it inexplicable how anyone could read Wuthering Heights and come up with this.
Yeah, if I could just pop it. Okay, I know I haven't seen the film, but I did listen to a very illuminating interview with her that was done on the Empire Movie podcast, and pretty much everything you said, she confirmed. Everything that you said, she confirmed. So I think it's the thing about it, right? It's like, I know how you guys have come at this, and I know how this adaptation has pushed all the wrong buttons for you guys. But the thing is, listening to her talk about it, she comes across as well. I mean, obviously because of her background and everything, she's quite posh, well read, knows what she's doing, all that kind of stuff. So but everything you said, yes. Well, please carry on.
Yeah. So taking that aside, the story aside, we know the story. It's an orphan boy taken into the home of Catherine Earnshaw and her father. Mm-hmm. He's raised by them, but he's never classed as the same. He's always like a servant boy. He's always slightly less in status. Yep. They rise up together. They have this sort of passionate connection. Then things happen and he leaves. And then she gets married to the wealthy neighbour. He then returns as a wealthy man and causes havoc, basically.
Yes.
That's to simplify the story. And then you've got to go into the nuances of it. I thought, to me, it was a mess. I thought it was structurally a mess, and I thought it looked incoherent. I didn't like the visuals. I know, I understand actually it's quite known for being these sort of stylish visuals. How you get these sort of like deep, vibrant colours, and also you get these silhouettes, these strong visual look. But to me, I didn't like it. I didn't think it worked.
Yep.
A lot of the things where they talk about the passionate relationship, I didn't really feel that chemistry. I didn't pick up on the chemistry between the lead actors. I thought they did not look like a good fit. The children did. I thought they actually looked not too bad. If you take the side that Kathy was very blonde, when she's not. She's this quite dark-haired girl. She's always a dark-haired girl. She's always referred to like this sort of wild, free spirit. And sort of dark like the Moors. They sort of, you draw the characteristics of the Moors, which influences everything when you go to that part of the world and you go to Haworth. They loom large, and the way their landscape looms large, and I didn't get that feeling from this film. Even the Moors, I just don't know how they managed to film the Moors and make them look so flat and make them look so not. They are really majestic. I don't know how they managed to not make them majestic by the way they filmed them. And I just thought the chemistry between Margot Robbie and, for me, Jacob Elordi, it just wasn't there. I did not feel any chemistry. So when I saw some of their like passionate scenes, I felt it was a bit ick. Mm-hmm. And there's a few times when I was a bit like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah,
that's not right. Don't do that. And and again, one of the scenes, I know it was supposed to make you feel like that, but there's a scene where her husband Edgar Linton decorates her bedroom in the colour of her skin. Yeah, now that's Edgar wasn't that creepy, but it was the most ick thing I'd ever seen. I was just like, oh my goodness me, run! I do not stay in this house. And then the characterizations of some of the other characters in the book, to me, were just caricatures. I did not feel that these people inhabited the real world. They inhabited the cinema, they inhabited this creation, but they weren't based in any reality. Yep. All of the characters were just slightly off, a bit panto, a little bit exaggerated, too exaggerated. So for me, I didn't hate it. It may sound like I did. I didn't actually hate it. I wanted to go in that. When I saw the trailer, I actually thought the trailer wasn't that bad. And I thought, actually, this couldn't be. This might be all right.
Yeah.
But then I was actually watching it. I thought, to me, it felt like a wasted opportunity, and I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was a very good film. And some of the sexual imagery throughout, and some of the sort of got their connotations. Again, I thought they were a little bit juvenile, and for me, it was just a little bit. To me, it lacked passion because it felt like it was a bit forced, a little bit trying too hard, and that made me feel like it was not erotically charged or wasn't emotionally charged. It felt a little bit flat for me. Holly, I yield.
It's like Sharon, tell us what you really think. So
I first read Wuthering Heights when I was about 13, and remember at the time it feeling romantic, but very rapidly on knowing literally anything established that there is nothing romantic about it. It's about two sociopathic individuals who progressively destroy the lives of everybody around them, and they are nasty and unlikable. And they have zero redeeming characteristics. None at all. As somebody said in an online review, they kept reading the book to make sure everybody died. That is a legitimate choice.
And it's sort of third and fourth generation, isn't it? It's not just Kathy and Heathcliff. Yes. It's their children. It's almost like their grandchildren. It's just this toxic.
Layers of misery.
Yeah.
So coming to the film, I was immediately irritated by Kathy being blonde and Heathcliff being decidedly white.
Yep.
Because one of the key features of the book is that Heathcliff is described as being dark-skinned, as looking like a Lascar, which would be a sailor from South Asia. Everything about his descriptions is other. And a point of contrast in the book is that the Lintons are meant to be these blonde-haired, blue-eyed, socially aspirational people. And instead, you get a guy who would have been impeccable as Heathcliff playing Edgar. And
that's Shazad Latif. Yeah.
Yes, who is just marvellous as an actor. I really like him. And suddenly his sister has become his ward for reasons, and you don't get the sweet naivety of her. You don't get the damage done to her, and I saw somebody write that she is probably the in some ways the strongest character in the book, but you don't get that through it. So that was an irritation. I found the costumes to be beautiful, really beautiful. I didn't like them. I thought they were massively anachronistic, and they didn't suit the scene because Cathy, as you'd said, is meant to be reminiscent of the Moors. So stark red and white doesn't give you that feeling of nature. It just gives you the sort of jarring contrast, which is impressive if that's what you're trying to do. And it's a stylistic choice. It's one that I didn't like.
It reminded me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. I felt like the Linton's house and her costuming was more Alice in Wonderland. I didn't think they were flattering to Margot Robbie. Personally, I thought it made her look really hard. And I thought she's someone who's naturally beautiful. To make your costuming make that character look really hard-faced and look quite brutal in their dress, to me, it didn't work. I thought it needed softening for me. It was just a little bit too brutal. And I thought it made her look really, I didn't think she looked very attractive in this film, which is shocking when she's such a beautiful woman.
Well, but from what you said, it sounds like it's kind of like, showing everybody who you are on the inside. It will work for Cathy if you. But anyway, so there's a whole bunch of things. But things we know that
something to that. But back to sort of characterization and things. So what was interesting is Martin Clunes in it, who actually plays a compressed character that is two different individuals in the book, and I thought he did a very good job of that merging. I think it was a mistake from a story perspective, but I thought if you were going to do it, he was absolutely able to carry that off.
He was probably the best thing in it.
Yeah,
I think he was the best thing in it, acting wise.
I found the sex scenes to be either a bit overblown, a bit silly. The bits that were meant to be somehow erotic were just a bit like, I don't really see what the point of that was. That's either slightly ick or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like the 50 Shades. It sounds like the 50 Shades effect.
Well, very much so. Yeah. What I did find interesting is it was the most impressive overuse of pathetic fallacy I have ever come across.
You're going to have to explain that.
So, pathetic fallacy is when the weather is used to depict what's going on. So, if you're feeling sad and the heavens
it's raining,
rain, so there is just the excessive use of rain, and not in a living on moors use of rain, just in it's like we're going to pour buckets from the sky way, and so it just
like the ending of the Four Weddings and the Funeral way.
Exactly, it does. It just didn't have the sort of nuance to it, but I could appreciate that it was a beautiful film. I could appreciate that actually it was well acted. But it left me cold. And I thought, and I know the book well. I'm actually rereading it because I wanted to test my own memory. Well, I'm starting to reread it, not very fast. And I'm very clear as to, who these people are, what these people are. I think only giving you the first half of the book is sad because the second half of the book is where it gets really interesting. It misrepresents characters, Emerald Fennell, you could have done anything. Also, what irritated me is that she looked at and she said she looked at all of the romances that have ever inspired her. So things like the film poster, inspired by Gone with the Wind.
So
there's all of these things where a bit like you've mistaken this for a romance when it isn't, and you're using some really weird imagery here that's doesn't work.
Yeah, did you hear that she cast Jacob Elordi because she saw him on the set of Saltburn with sideburns on, and he reminded her of the picture of Heathcliff on the cover of Wuthering Heights that she read when she was 13, and she kind of thought, ooh, and that was the real main thing that she cast him on.
Which is the shittest reason to cast anybody. Feel free to bleep that out, but nonetheless. It's like casting somebody on the basis of a Mills and Boon cover. I mean, really.
Well, yeah, pretty much that's what she's done. That's pretty much that's what she's done, and that's the poster you're talking about. That's like references Gone with the Wind. I saw it, and I did immediately think Mills and Boon's cover, and
you've got the man looming over the woman, and she's flying.
And the shot in the film that you were talking about, I guess when she's in the Linton's house, that it's like when she comes in, I did see that and think that looks like she's going to see the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. When she said that, I knew the exact with just seeing the trailer, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I saw that. So I mean, there's a question I wanted to ask, which is totally impossible for you guys to say, like. Essentially, it's along the lines of what do you think you would think of this film if you hadn't read the book? But I feel like that's like an impossible question to answer.
I can sort of comment because I went with my friend Jess, who has never read the book.
Okay, cool.
She read a synopsis of it. Thank you, ChatGPT, for your able assistance. And she really enjoyed it. And she loved the costumes, and to her it was beautiful, and it didn't have. She didn't come to it with emotional baggage. So I think if I had seen it without having read the book or without thinking it was trying to be the book, I would have liked it a great deal more.
Yeah.
But seeing how they've managed to screw with an effective story that is layered and complex and not romantic and try to turn it into a romance, if you wanted to make 50 Shades of Grey set in, the late 18th century, go for it.
That's Lady Chatterley's lover, though.
Lady Chatterley was late 19th century. So,
okay, cool. Okay, cool.
So you give it an extra 100 years. It was set in the late 17th.
Sorry, I see costume dramas and they all just kind of like blurs.
Yeah. It's supposed to be Georgian. It's like I think 50 years before Bridgerton.
Okay,
it's supposed to be. And they were like the panniers, they were like the wigs, that's a completely different look. We got Victorian, we did not get Georgian costume.
Okay. All right. So okay, that's been 15 minutes, and I can see that you have so much more yet to say about this film.
Continuing on the WhatsApp group.
We'll continue on the WhatsApp group. I mean, I personally, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the box office for this film for the next couple of weeks, because I think the box office would tell. I think that's what's going to tell you whether Emerald Fennell has been successful in what she's been trying to do or not. Because I feel like you, and even hearing her speak about it, you are not her target audience for this film. I feel like her target audience, the fact that she's got Jacob Elordi in there, her target audience is 14-year-old girls probably, and the fact that it's been released in half term and all that. So there's a lot of things that make me think that her target audience is people who are a lot younger, people who probably haven't read the book. I would say definitely people who haven't read the book, and I feel like the next couple of weeks would tell us if she's been successful in hitting that target audience. But having
one more thing that's incredibly annoying.
Yep.
Kathy is meant to, by the end of this part of the film, be 18, and Heathcliff should be maybe 19. Now, and that's really important to the characterizations as well, and to how they behave, because they are also stroppy teenagers. And suddenly you have Margot Robbie, who is a very beautiful 35-year-old, and Jacob Elordi, who is a very attractive 28-year-old. They're lovely looking people. They are not convincing as people in their late teens, and moving this to an older generation and making the characters older takes away some of the stuff.
Yeah, making Edgar that bit older as well. Again, he's supposed to be sort of quite young and youthful, and Isabella is young and youthful. They're all in their sort of, they're all of an age. Yeah, so to age them up that much, it doesn't work.
Okay, all right. I look forward to going there and being in the same boat as Jess and going, that was all right. Maybe I'll read the book now. Only problem is that I've read synopses, I've seen other things, and I don't think I'm ever reading that book. So and I also will say that I do feel like a more faithful adaptation of Wuthering Heights would not have moved the needle as much as what she's done. I don't think it would not have gotten as much buzz. It would not have gotten. It would not have. This leads me on to the next question. Essentially, I don't think it would have warranted being in the cinema or warranted even getting a crowd. But so the next question, what we started saying here is, do you think that you should watch this film in the cinema, or you should wait until it shows up on a streaming platform?
I think it's quite cinematic in that it's big. So
I know your answer is probably don't watch this film ever, but
no, I have got versions of Wuthering Heights that are television ones, because it's a complex story, and that they are like 6 hours long, and I think that probably suits it better to do it in as a part work, as a series. And there's a really good one that has got young Matthew McFadden in it as Hareton, and I think does quite a good job of it. So it can be done. It's just I don't think for me this wasn't it. But I would say it's quite cinematic.
So you'd say go see it in the cinema?
Yeah.
Yep, Holly?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. If you want to watch it and you're okay with even either you've read the book or you don't mind that you're really going to see something different, or you haven't read the book. As I say, it's a well shot, dramatic looking film. The fact that we didn't like it doesn't mean it's a failure of cinematography, and actually arguably Emerald Fennell has achieved what she set out to, because she's going to make a lot of money out of it. And the fact that we dislike it is part of what's fueling her making a lot of money.
I would not argue with that. Yeah. So okay, so that's it. So you would say go see it in the cinema. How many stars would you give this?
I think I'm going to give it a 2.5 personally, because I didn't think it was a very good film. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. It didn't generate enough.
But your dislike of the film is, I feel like, inextricably linked to the fact that it's, the source material and you know how much they've changed it.
Well, I'm not sure that I would have liked it anyway. For me, it was just, I didn't think it was very good. So for me, I would give it a 2.5, I think.
Okay. Holly?
I would do the same.
All right, cool.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's well shot. I think the acting is good. I think the script leaves much to be desired. So I didn't think it was very good, but I did think it was very beautiful.
Cool. So 2.5 stars for Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights. I'm trying to figure out the best way of saying the quotation marks in a sentence. If someone isn't looking at you doing the quotation marks, you're thinking
Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. Actually,
Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights.
It's like, is that you? That you look different.
Someone else has said online the Kate Bush song arguably did a better job of representing the book than this film did.
Because there's none of the spirituality of it, was there? There's none of the ghost, and there's that sense of other, which I think really is throughout the book. We didn't even go into that. So
the good lines came from the book.
Let's put it this way. And Holly, you say that, and I think Emerald Fennell agrees with you. Reading between the lines, she agrees with you about the Kate Bush song compared to what she's done. she has pretty much said, no, this isn't a faithful adaptation. This isn't I think she's pretty much said, this isn't a good adaptation. This is just me doing what the hell I want to do.
Get ready yourself some more bleeping no shit.
and seeing as it's the film business, I think she might be onto something. I think she might be onto something. But then again, this is a book that I do not understand why it's that celebrated. But anyway,
it's just a very good book of not cross-generational trauma, misery, set in a pretty miserable part of the world with very poor weather conditions.
I know. I mean, why? Never mind. Let's move on. because this is
Brontes didn't have very much to do, and they all died terribly young, mostly of TB/consumption.
That's all well and good, but I just, my thing is not about whether the book's good or not. It's about why it has endured so much and why it has been held over and over all these generations as this classic, when all it is just everyone dies in the end. But
it's a very impressive depiction of multi-generational trauma and how appalling human beings can be to each other.
And God knows we need to celebrate that.
Redemption.
Yeah, and I think it is tied to the author, to the landscape. So, because I think when people look at Emily Brontë, they think how could that book come about of that landscape and that person, this quiet, shy, painfully shy child of the vicarage who lives on the edge of the moors. It's and it's like you wouldn't expect that sort of book to come out of a vicarage, basically, a Victorian. And you look at her and she's like very slight. They're all tiny, and she was really antisocial. So it's like such passion coming out of someone who doesn't look that passionate. But her poetry, please, 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 if you do anything, read Emily Bronte's poetry, please.
Okay, okay. Okay, fine. At least it'll be shorter than Wuthering Heights. So, let us go on to TV's things and see what our TV offerings are this week. And let's talk about Small Profits. So, Sharon, Small Profits. You said you've binged, you sort of like hoovered this whole thing up and I'm guessing that the Mackenzie Crook has something to do with that. Because the last thing Mackenzie Crook wrote and was shown on the BBC was The Detectorists, which is something that you love and you put up there with ghosts, as in just a perfectly formed TV show.
Yeah, the best of the best for the last 20 odd years, I would say. If you ask me what are the best top 10 television shows or series of any sort, any genre, across every genre over the last 10 years, what would they be? And I would have Ghosts and I would have Detectorists would be up there. Detectorists is just marvelous. And so I came into this with high expectations, but ready to be disappointed because, we want to be realistic about these things. But 100%. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely did. And it has got that quirk about it, and it's a bit unusual. But basically, let me tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah.
It is contemporary day Britain. We have a man who has a job in a tool, like a B&Q type shop. It's a tool shop.
Yeah.
And he works there. He goes to work every day. He's got this mixed match of oddballs who work around him. And his dad, played by Michael Palin, is in a care home. And he sort of basically, his days is like he gets through the day. He's got a very wry sense of humour. And he sort of tells his sort of whoppers to people. He says one of his younger sort of colleagues said to him, "What did you do for a living before you came here?" When I was an underwater welder. She was like, "What's that?" He says, "Which part don't you understand? Underwater or welder?" So and then he spends his time, he does works in this tool shop, and then he goes and visits his dad, who's sort of got a bit of early dementia. He's obsessed with entering competitions.
Yep.
He's sort of a little bit quirky himself, but he lives in this really lively sort of care home where they look after him and they give him this lovely environment. And then one day his dad tells him that what he needs to do, because there's a mystery in that a few years before this man's girlfriend disappeared one day. She went out and her car was found on the Severn Bridge, but she was never found. There's been no trace of her since. So there's been this mystery, and it's her house that he's been living in. They live there together, and then when she left, it's basically her house, and he hasn't wanted to actually get rid of any of her stuff. So he's living surrounded by all her stuff because it's not his to get rid of. But he's not prepared to declare her dead or to say that she's never coming back. So he's living in almost like a state of limbo.
Yeah.
And his dad says, what you need to do is you need to grow these... I can't remember the name. Homunculus. You need to grow a homunculus. Yeah. And he's like, what on earth is that? He says it's a prophet. You have, he says, it's an alchemy. I've got this book. I met this mage when I was in Egypt, I think it was. He told me how to create these beings. They're supernatural beings who can only tell you the truth. And you have to get like rainwater, and you have to do this, and you have to do all these certain things, and then this little prophet will grow up in this jar, and you can ask it a question, but it will have to tell you the truth. So that's what he does. He goes, he gets all the equipment he needs, and he creates an environment ready, and he grows. You can grow up to 6 of these. There's 6 distinct different characters.
Yeah.
And he successfully manages to grow 3 of them. The king, I think it's the seraph and the queen. And they each, you can see them grow in these jars and their form.
Yeah.
And the story
carries on from there.
Things happen.
Yes. Well, because this is Mackenzie Crook, and obviously you spoke about the Detectorists so lovingly, and I haven't watched The Detectorist. From what I can understand, it's almost more of like a vibe than it is like a plot or anything like that. So it's like if things happen, it's not really. So does this continue that kind of thing where it's almost kind of like it's on its own level, it's on its own rhythm, and you just have to sort of like tune into it, or is it more plot driven, so to say?
And it has its vibe. Things happen and things you don't quite understand the significance of. There are some things like there's a lad who lives in a cul-de-sac. He basically all day long just cycles round and round in circles. That's all he does. He cycles round and round in circles. And you're thinking, if you really paid attention, that's probably relevant to something.
Yeah.
And you know it's there, but it's not central.
Yeah.
And there's another guy who's always like, and he's always shouting out, and he's always saying, "You're the main man." And you think, obviously, there's something going on there about him and other characters, things going on in their lives, but it's not spelled out for you. So sometimes you have to let it go with the flow with it.
Yep.
But no, I just thought it was really well constructed. The story's enough, it's quirky enough. There's enough warmth to it. I think that makes a difference with this sort of things. You can be quirky, but you have to have that warmth. You have to love people, and you have to have that to embrace the fact that people are weird and odd and strange and sometimes horrible, but sometimes wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think it just embraces that multitude of what humanity is. I just really like Mackenzie Crook's way of writing. I really like the way he sees people and he sees the world. It really speaks to me, and I think I just love it. I really do.
So okay, so with that, I mean, this is 6 episodes, right?
Yes.
It's 6 episodes. Okay, so 6 episodes, and this has become one of the questions I always ask about things. You mentioned a couple of different plot strands in there, and I would imagine that they're not all resolved because they're probably trying to come back for a second season.
At the end, it says to be continued. So
yeah.
You know that there are, and the fact that they only made 3, and when there's potential for having 6, so you know that they could make another 3, or that to join the 3 that they've got, or to add to this storyline.
Yeah.
But there's characters that come in, and there's there's just different strands that they need to be.
All right. So with that, how many stars would you give these 6 episodes then?
I just really liked it. I would personally give it a 4.5.
4.5 for Small Profits.
I would hold on a bit. I think a couple of times you can see it's not a lavish budget. So
yes.
Sometimes the effects, you sometimes feel a bit like it takes you out of reality a little bit when you sort of go when you notice the effects.
Is it like Doctor Who in the 80s or something?
Story, yeah, you're taken out of the story just a little bit, but that's just a tiny quibble. But that's just in a couple of instances I thought, but I thought there was to me, I laughed out loud watching it, and I felt real moments of like pathos when I watched it, and I really liked it. So yeah, definitely for me, easily a 4.5. Best thing I've seen in a long time. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Oh, good stuff. Well done, Mackenzie. You have kept and possibly even grown a fan. It's like it made an even bigger fan out of Sharon than she already was. All right, cool. And now we're going to go back to cinema, and we are going to talk about The Day the Earth Blew Up. But to give it its full title, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. So, So, I just realized it's Looney Tunes and not Tunes. But anyway, so this is a film. I said Looney Tunes, you know them, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, all those guys, everything like that. And apparently this is the first ever fully animated Looney Tunes film. Like every other time that they've shown up in the cinema, it has been a mix of it's been a hybrid of live action and but this is the first fully animated one. And for those of you who may maybe film buffs or know about films, that you heard things like, you hear the title like The Day the Earth Blew Up, and that immediately takes you back to 50s sci-fi, and it's like the day the Earth stood still is the obvious thing. And this is pretty much Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is like a Looney Tunes take on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but obviously because it's Looney Tunes and it's Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, this is Invasion of the Body Snatchers through the means of bubblegum. So so for what storyline there is, you have Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, and they were taken in by a farmer called Farmer Jim, which I think this is a whole new thing because I don't think this ever existed before. It's like they taken by Farmer Jim. He left them their house, and he says you got to learn to rely on each other. So you already know that right from the beginning of the world, there's been this sort of like, this is the lesson you're going to take away from this film, kids. You got to learn to rely on each other, that kind of thing. UFO crashes. There's this goo that comes down. They can't keep a job because Daffy Duck keeps messing everything up. They meet this other pig called Petunia Pig, who Porky Pig has a thing for, and they get given a job at a bubblegum factory. And at the bubblegum factory, they're about to release a new flavor, and somehow the goo gets into the flavor, and anybody who chooses bubblegum essentially becomes like a mindless zombie. And you find out that there's a character who's just purely called the Invader, voiced by Peter McNichol from Ally McBeal, if you remember him. And it's like, and so you have all that stuff, and then it just goes through, essentially, it goes through pretty much the plot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. So there's the whole thing of, oh my god, how do we reverse this whole thing? Everybody's been taken over. There is even, and Shaun would, because I know Shaun loves Invasion of the Body Snatchers, especially I think the 70s version with Donald Sutherland. And there is something that I've never seen that film, but there's a very famous scene of Donald Sutherland pointing and making a noise when he opens his mouth and I'm pretty sure that there is a direct reference to that scene in this film. It's that kind of thing. And so everything about this, I'm kind of like, I love Looney Tunes, I love cartoons, I love all this stuff, I love the slapstick about it and everything and watching this film, I began to think that there's probably a reason that all those the original things were that short. because this is about 90 minutes long, and it kind of doesn't pause for a breath. It's as if you can almost sort of feel the director going, no, we need to keep going, and it just keeps going, Daffy just there's spinning all over the python and everything like that. It just keeps going, and it doesn't stop, and it doesn't slow down, and there's no real pace, and it just kind of like, okay, this thing to that thing to that thing to that thing to that thing, and it's almost like if you stopped for a second and you looked at it, you realize that what you're saying doesn't really have much to it. I don't feel like there's much. I don't think that there's much inventiveness to it. I feel like it's just kind of like a reference to something else that's already existed. I feel like it's just kind of like you see the kind of things that they've done many, many years, because these characters are getting probably close to 100 years old now. So yeah, they're getting close to 100 years old. So it's things you've seen them do before, but now with better drawings and better definition and all that kind of stuff. Although there is one joke about Glass that is masterfully done and actually made me laugh out loud. It actually made me laugh out loud in the cinema where I was like, oh, okay, that was expertly executed. It was so, yeah, and the fact that that at the end of the day, you know that there's this whole thing of as long as we stick together, we'll be all right. Lesson that is being peddled. And it kind of, okay, fine. You've taken these characters who are anarchic and all that kind of, you're trying to put a story and you're trying to put a lesson and a moral onto it. And I guess you maybe think you have to do that. I don't know. But I don't think it's as successful as you would think. And for anybody who's been following, when it comes to the Looney Tunes, the real film that everybody has been waiting to be released because it was finished and it was cancelled and people were really looking forward to a film called Coyote versus Acme. And that film had been finished, had been released, but then Warner Brothers wrote it off as a tax write-off and just refused to release the film, even though it's there. Look up the history of Coyote versus Acme. It is mad, and it tells you why Warner Brothers is being taken over. No, they did it to quite a few things. There was a Batgirl film. There was that was supposed to be released, and it was, I can't remember her name, but she was in the Heights. She was in the Heights. She was playing Batgirl, and obviously this was supposed to be a big thing for her. And she had years on this set to try and get ready for Batgirl, to do everything for Batgirl and all that. The directors had taken years out to make this film. They had pretty much finished it, and then they essentially locked the directors out of the editing suites and said they're not allowed that. Oh yeah, well sorry, we're not working on that film anymore, and they just refused to release the film. So there's a Batgirl film sitting there that they wrote off for tax purposes. They wrote off Coyote versus Acme for tax purposes, and there's apparently been a deal, which means that we're going to get to see Coyote versus Acme, which is a film I think I would rather have seen than this one, because I think from what I've heard of that one, that has a lot more inventiveness. It has a lot more sort of like, it knows what it has and it knows how to play with this. This is kind of like, by the minutes, it is distracting enough, because I went to see this with my 11-year-old niece and my 2-year-old daughter. And my 2-year-old daughter didn't move for the whole film. She just stared at the screen for the entire runtime. So it's distracting enough, but I feel like there's more that they could have done with it. So all in all, I think I would have to give it a 2 out of 5. But if you have small children with you, take it to the cinema. They will look at the screen and you can close your eyes and get to sleep. So yeah, I'll give The Day the Earth Blew Up a 2. But I would say it is great to see Daffy Duck and Porky Pig back on the big screen. And now we go to the final thing that we're going to talk about this week, and this is on Netflix, and this is Madam. This is Madam, a New Zealand comedy, a New Zealand half-hour comedy, drama, whatever you want to call it, about, and I spoke about this a little bit last week, and I said I would love to see what you guys thought about it. I'd love to see what Holly, what you thought, and Sharon, what you thought as well. And Sharon, you said you've watched the first episode of it.
Yeah.
Just to give a basic idea of what it is. So, Rachel Griffiths plays a character called Mac. They call it Mac. And this whole show, I mean, there's some things I love about this show. Number one, I hate it when you have a show and they take ages to get to the central premise of the show, where they like, we're going to start off the show and we're going to show you this character's home life, and we're going to show you the husband, and we're going to show you how they get on together. And this does none of that. This just goes straight into it. The first thing you see is Rachel Griffiths sat in a van looking at something, and you get the idea that she's on a stakeout. Then she sees a guy come out of like a hotel room. And as it goes along, you realize that guy who comes out of a hotel room is her husband, and he's been seen a sex worker. And so she goes in, she has a chat to the sex worker, who is called Tui, who, I don't know about you guys, but I thought had a scary resemblance to Keira Knightley. So it's like, okay, apparently it's just me. But it's like, yeah, especially in the first scene when she has a wig on and everything like that. And so she finds out all about this, and because prostitution is legal in New Zealand, she decides, you know what I'm going to do? She does a little bit of research, sees what kind of conditions that these women are working under, and so she decides that she's going to set up an ethical brothel. And then the whole thing becomes, this show turns into a workplace comedy that just happens to be set in a brothel. Happens to be set in a brothel, and it's about the different women who come there and work there, why they come there and work there, how they deal with this whole sorts of stuff. And I just really, really liked the vibe of this show. There's an episode of this. There's an episode that's set entirely on Valentine's Day, and what does Valentine's Day look like in a brothel? and you have and I think the characterizations of the different people is great. I think the fact that it's it's a New Zealand show, I think plays a lot into this, because you get to see a real diverse, and it's like a diverse group of people that doesn't feel forced. It just feels like these are the people who live in New Zealand. The fact that one of the characters, the actor's real life name is Moana. I was like, oh, this is like a whole bit. This is great, and there's even jokes about it, about different people, about different backgrounds, people who are like Maori and people who are like, come from like, a European background. And there's one woman who definitely looks like she comes from like, South India, and I love the fact that the way they put all these women together. And I remember that some of it reminds me of, I remember seeing this TV show Orange is the New Black, which was one of the first shows that had like, mostly female cast, and just went on to like talk about, and there's one particular episode of Orange is the New Black where they're talking about, let me say feminine hygiene. They're talking about feminine hygiene and how women don't really know that much about their own bodies and everything like that. And for me, I was just kind of watching this going, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. And I think I got that quite a lot with Madam. I was like, oh, what? I've never seen anything. I've never thought about this that way, anything like that. I personally, I am probably more on the prudish side of things, and I don't. When it comes to like sex work, I still kind of think as much as this show normalizes it and everything like that, I do still have this now going, yeah, but you're still having sex with people, right? Like loads of different people in the same day. How is that? Isn't that like a deeper conversation we need to have here? There's a great episode where a bunch of Christians decide where a bunch of Christians decide to protest the place, and I just think it's anyway, Holly, you watched the whole thing. What did you think?
You've watched the whole thing. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was enjoyably madcap.
Yes.
Well constructed characters. Suitably mad premise.
Yep.
Various
based on a true story, by the way.
Yes. Various somewhat bizarre premises along the way that where you don't quite know what's going to happen next, but I hugely enjoyed it. Yeah. I'm hoping desperately that there's going to be a season 2 because I want to know what happens next.
Yes, they do that quite well.
They do, and they're very likable characters.
Yes. I think that one of the best things about this show is the character work. It's a lot of this is because even when they're bringing up a trope or something, like there's a character called Desire, and almost the second she shows up, you're like, oh my god, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news. And even then, they managed to do a lot of stuff with the character work in there that makes her a lot more than just a one-note character. It makes her a lot more than, I mean, there's like, there's a neighbor next door who happens to be like a hunky chef and everything like that. And even there, they managed to do stuff to draw these characters out so that they're not just tropes. And I really, really like that.
It's complicated characterization, but not so complicated that you can't get into it and you can't remember it.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you needed to have watched 25 previous episodes, and you could probably pick up, part way through and kind of catch up with what was going on. You'd be better watching all of it.
Yeah.
But it's good characterization. It's a tight script. It's well shot.
It's half an hour. Each episode is half an hour. It's awesome.
I did watch the first episode. What made me laugh, though, was that the husband of Mac is played by he's the lead actor in Virgin River. And obviously, Virgin River, he's like a ex-Marine. He has a bar. He's like this man's man. He's this completely he's like this alpha male in every regard. And then he's like, I've only seen the first episode. He's like slightly wet and like not really very effective. And it's just, to me, to see him in that role, I would just thought that made me laugh sort of straight away because it's like couldn't be more different to his Virgin River character.
It's good casting, and it is very nice that there are, Maori cast, Pacific Islander casts.
Yeah.
That it's not filmed out of Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like that has I feel like the vibe of it that has a lot to play into that. And I have to say, a real shout out for a character, an actress called Rimate Wiata, who plays Jules in the show. She is, because that is the performance, that's the kind of character that could just be annoying. But she manages to make the character like soulful, motherly, just like you just warm to that character straight away. You warm to that character. You just want, and you're like, you know what? I wish I had a Jules in my life. I mean, I think she plays her perfectly. I think it's brilliant. I think. Yeah, great cast. One of the best ensemble casts I think I've seen. You just put them together and everything they do.
A shame we need to run a brothel to get a Jules. There are legality issues, I gather.
Yes, I know. But I mean, I do. Obviously, that I think that there is, even though the lady, the real life Mackenzie, whose book this is based on, because she ran an ethical brothel for 3 years. I think a big part of that was to try and sort of like almost sort of like destigmatize sex work. And I know that there's a lot of stuff that's going into this, and I think that they do a lot to sort of show you why these women are doing it and what they get from it. But for me, there's still that whole thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, maybe some might say I'm a bit more open-minded now or anything like that, but I still have questions because it's still sex work. And isn't there something... Well, okay, there's something literally icky about it, but also just kind of like from a head thing. It's anyway. But anyway, I'm not sure. I mean, Holly, I know you could fall more on the liberal side of things than I do. What did you think about that?
Sorry, my brain completely discombobulated there. Please say that again for the stupid person in the corner.
No. Okay, so essentially, long and short of it, what did this make you think about sex work?
I have probably complicated views about it because I think it's a difficult one as a modern feminist to take a singular point of view, because I firmly believe in bodily autonomy and that everybody has a right to do with themselves and their lives what they will if they are not hurting other people, or as you know, I think killing people is bad. That's one of my very, very firmly held positions, and I don't think you should steal things. But I'm relatively sanguine. Don't hurt people. Hurting people bad. So I fundamentally believe that everybody has the right to make their own decisions about themselves, regardless of what anyone else may think or judge. But sex work has the capacity to imply that a woman or a man's body can be bought and sold, and that is something that also doesn't sit entirely comfortably with me. So I got to the end of the first series still feeling the same personal dichotomy. That I respect people and their life choices, and I am, even if I were their mum, it wouldn't be my choice, it would be their choice, and my judgment or lack thereof is nothing to do, should have no bearing on anybody else's decisions, except possibly for some voting choices where I think everybody should listen to me. But setting that aside, it was a I don't think it changed my position, but I think it provided an interesting humanization, and there are some elements of it where you could very much see the positives of it. I think humanization is a very good word. It's sort of like it treats it almost very matter of fact. As I said, this is a workplace comedy. It's a workplace comedy that happens to be set in a brothel, and it treats it very sort of like matter of fact as to this is what it is, and we need to I thought it was. I think it's possible. Like I think essentially what you're talking about, that to enjoy this show and still not think that that's an all right line of work or anything like that, But anyway, the actress I was talking about that I said reminded me so much of Keira Knightley, especially in the first scene, especially her chin. She has a very Keira Knightley chin. Doesn't she?
Yes, Ariana Osborne, who plays Tui. I just kept going, oh my God, it looks like a Keira Knightley. Maybe shorter, but especially when she had that wig on in the first scene. But anyway, have a look and see. So how many stars would you give Madam Holly?
I'm going to go 4.25.
4.25. I would, I think I agree. It is very good. I quite liked it. It's half-hour episodes. Doesn't outstay as welcome, and it finishes off something and sets up a new. It sets up the next season as to what's going to happen, and it's almost kind of like they've had a smoking gun right there from the beginning, and you kind of know this is how it's going to end. And again, this is the natural place for it to lead into a season 2. But I would just love to hang around with these characters and see more of what they do, and especially see Jules come into her own, because honestly, Jules, it's like love that character. It's like, all right, cool. So that is it. Oh, and I just wanted to say one more thing because I didn't say it earlier. The day the Earth blew up, as to whether I think you should see this in the cinema or whether I think you should actually stay and wait for it on a streaming platform. Well, I think HBO Max is coming to the UK sometime soon. They're probably going to have it on there. But I would say if it's half term and you have kids and you want to sort of distract them for 90 minutes while you can get some sleep, definitely go see this in the cinema. If you don't have anybody to distract and you're just thinking about it for your own personal edification, then wait until it's on streaming. And I really hope they don't use the box office for this as an excuse to not release Coyote versus Acme, because that would be... Anyway, so that's it. So, a quick, nice, simple thing. Who do you think has won this week? Netflix or cinema?
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix and Friends have won this week with a 4.375, and cinema have offered us a 2.25. Shame on you, Emerald Fennell. I don't really mean that. I think you're a marketing genius, as I've said before on this podcast. I think you're an absolute marketing genius. All right, cool. So until next week, when I might get to see Wuthering Heights.
Might you?
Yeah, might maybe. Is that you? I might get to see that. And God knows what else we're going to see. But I think hopefully by that time we will be able to come back. Shaun would have watched a little bit more of Madam. Holly might have finished watching How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, and we'll review that on the show next week. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
A goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us, Jess. This is for you, Jess. Now, Jess, go. Yeah, okay, you're listening to us already. Go leave a comment on a YouTube video or something like that. Tell us about how great you think Holly's cheekbones look in this episode. Thank you very much for joining us.